Hello all, let's start section 2.3, the last section in chapter 2. In this section we will cover histogram. I will tell you what is histogram and why we are using histogram to deal with our data. First of all, histogram is a very simple definition, a touching bar chart. A touching bar chart, we call it what? Histogram. Why we are using histogram and why we have to graph our data or graph our frequency distribution table. On the left side of my page, as you see, we did this example in the previous lecture too, but I used here a different data from another class. For example, you want to talk about the age of students in your class, and you prepare this frequency distribution table, and you submit this to administration to see how the ages are in your class. You know that every frequency distribution table is enabling you to see the patterns, how the data is, where is the data located, and you can understand through that to learn these patterns. Where are the differences, correct? Some people, they are not good with numbers. That's why even if you submit something like this table to people, to normal people that they don't know too much math, it's too difficult for them to read, to understand what do you mean by these numbers. There is another way that you can submit your data, which is graph. Usually we are good with pictures. When we see the pictures, we can understand it very fast. There are different types of graphs in your book, but I'm only focusing on histogram because this is the most important graph that we use, and I want to teach you only how to graph an histogram, correct? To graph a histogram, actually you need to draw two vertices or two axes. You have a vertical axis, correct? And you have a horizontal axis, correct? This is your vertical axis and you have your horizontal axis. Usually in mathematics, you see four of them. Your horizontal has two sides, the negative side, the positive side, and your vertical axis also has two sides, the positive and negative. But here, um, actually, we are just using the positive of x and y, correct? But we don't name them x and y. Now, how to bring this data to this chart or to create a histogram? Some easy notes. In your horizontal axis, correct? And your horizontal axis, what you do, you put your class midpoint, or you can use class boundaries. correct? And vertical axis, mark frequency. Mark your frequency, or you can mark relative frequency, or even cumulative. Which one you want to show in your graph, you can mark those. Correct? I have here my data. I have my frequency table. I will start first. I will use the class boundaries. I'll mark it in my horizontal axis. Then I'll show you how to graph. You see, as you see on the left side, I have 8 classes, 18 to 21, 22 to 25, 26 to 29, up to 46 to 49, 8 classes. What you do, you divide your horizontal axis to 8 classes, but please, they should be equally divided. That's why today I use the graph paper here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 classes. Correct? We write down our class boundaries. My class boundaries here, if it's 18, a very small number close to 18, before 18, which is 17.5. Correct? We already know the definition of a class boundary. What is a class boundary? The other day I explained to you, class boundaries are used to separate the classes with no gaps. Correct? And it's usually a number, or I can say the average between these two numbers. You see, I put a red arrow in the table. If you average 21 with 22, it gives you the next boundary. Correct? Between 21 and 22, of course, the next number is what? 21.5. Correct? The next one will be same way, 23.5. Why I know? Because I see here the class width is 3. Correct? I'll just add 3, 3, 3 on the top of like each class. If it's 21, this will be 23. Next one will be 24.5. Next one will be 31.5. Next one will be 33.5. Next one will be 36.5 or 37.5. 36.5, sorry. This one is 32.5. This one is 30. And next one, 41.5. Did I did a mistake? It should be 37. Why? These numbers are wrong. 24.5, between 25 and 26. Between 29 and 30, this one will be 27.5, right? The next one, between 30 3 and 34. Between 29 and 30, oh, something is wrong. I'm sorry, let me correct this data because I don't want to put wrong numbers. The class difference is 4, right? If the first one is 17.5, next one add 4 on the top of this, it gives you, let's go easy way, 21.5. Next one will be 25.5. Next one will be 29.5. Next one will be 33.5. Next one will be 37.5. Next one will be 41.5. Next one will be 45.5. And next one will be 49.5. Correct? Now, on the vertical axis, I will put my frequency. You see the highest frequency, which I have 25. I will go this way. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25, 20, 15, 10, and here 5. Now, look at the frequency. Ages between 17.5 to 21. How much is your frequency? 25. I will draw a bar here like this. Use ruler, please. I'm using an electric pen. It's so difficult to control my hand. That's why it's moving. Between 21 to 25, you have the frequency of 10. Next one, frequency of 4. Next one, your frequency is 2. Next one, your frequency is 1. Next one, your frequency is 0. It means you don't draw a bar here. This line is actually showing the 0 for you. Next one is again 1. And next one is again what? 0. This shape that you see, or this graph that you see here, we name it histogram. For most of the people, it's really easy that they know what you're talking about by looking to the graph. That's why it's very important to learn how to graph histogram. Correct? Now, how you graph with midpoint, you don't change the graph, you don't change the uh, vertical axis. Only what I do, instead of writing the midpoints, I will, sorry. Instead of writing the class boundaries, what you do, you show the midpoints. And you know where are your midpoints, right? You always mark your midpoints. Here is my midpoint. 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 And you just, because before you calculated your midpoints, you write those numbers in your horizontal axis. If you want to show the relative frequency, don't change the horizontal axis, just change the numbers to percentage and your vertical axis. Correct? I will graph that one for you. I will show it here. For example, I want to show my relative frequency. Correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 17.52. Here the last one was what, 49 something, 49.5. I don't want to write all those numbers, you can write them, correct? Here was 21.5 and so on, correct? Instead of putting frequency in a vertical axis, what you do, you write your relative frequency. You see the highest percentage that you have in this table is 58.1%. You start, for example, with 60, correct? You mark here as a 60%. Then this one, let's jump by 10, maybe 50, here 40, here 30, here 20, and here 10%, correct? The first is 58.1, the first class. This is your 58.1, correct? And you graph it like this. The second class is 23.3%. 23.3% will be somewhere here, correct? The next class, the percentage or relative frequency is 9.3. 9.3 will go somewhere here. The next one is 4.7. 4.7 is really low, somewhere here. Then you have, I think, 2%, 2.3%, then 0% and 2.3%. 2.3%, 0%, again 2.3% and 0%. Correct? This is how you graph histogram. You can show relative frequency, you can show frequency histogram, also you can show cumulative. Cumulative will be a little bit different. If I do here the cumulative frequency this histogram for you, again your 8 classes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you start with the highest, which is 43, correct? And the lowest 25. For example, you mark here 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. Oh, I need a little bit more space. I need it longer. Maybe here 45, 40, 35, 30, here 25, here 20, here 15, and here what? 10. Again, here 17.5, and you go up to market up to 49.5 class boundaries, or you can use your midpoint. Correct? The first group, cumulative frequency is 25, right? The first group is 25. The second group is, I think, 35. Correct? The second group is, or second class is 35. The third group, 39. 39 goes up to here, close to 40, right? The next one is 41, which is a little bit higher than this graph. The next one is 42, 42, 43, 43. 42 and again 42, two of them 42. I'm sorry about my bad drawing. I don't want to waste time to use a ruler. Then you can use a ruler. Then 43 and what? 43 again. This is the cumulative histogram. This is relative frequency. And the first one, which I draw for you, that was a frequency histogram. It's not difficult. It's really easy as long as you know which values you put in your horizontal axis, which values you use for vertical axis. Graphing is so easy. One more thing before I stop this lecture is, later we talk about normal distribution. Normal distribution. Just I want to explain a little bit here, but in future we will discuss it really in detail. When you graph something, if your graph is bell shape, we call it bell shape. It means if this is the center of your graph, which you will learn what we call the center of the graph, two sides of the center are symmetric. We call this distribution a normal distribution. The data is distributed in a normal way. But sometimes you see your graph will have this way, this kind of shape, or maybe this kind of shape. Then we will discuss on that time. We will tell you these two are normal. The graph has some skewness, is skewed to the left or is skewed to the right. But for time being, at least know that a normal distribution is always a bell shape. If you look here, your graph, your histogram, if you want to draw that curve actually here, that shape, you see your graph goes like this. Later you will learn how to graph this. Your graph goes like this to the left. It's skewed to the right. Correct? It's not a normal distribution. Why normal distribution? Because most of my students in this class, they are at age 18 to 21. 25 students, which is 58 or 59% of my class, is in that age. Correct? The ages is not normally distributed in my class. Correct? This is how a graph talks to you. Correct? And most of the people, they are very good with graphs. That's why we always graph a histogram for our frequency distribution table. I'll stop the lecture here. See you all in chapter 3.